Back again. Let's see when you guys get on here. Oh, man. Okay, so I don't see anybody watching, but I'm just going to go ahead and start. And I'm jumping right in. Let me just say, before I go any further, shout out to Amazing Lucas for having Nick Fuentes on his channel. I was very surprised to see that, but it brought me a little joy because so many people are focused on attacking and slandering and trying to drive this movement underground. And Amazing Lucas said, you know what? I'm going to have this guy on. And he said, I'm not condoning anything. I don't co-sign. I'm just giving you a platform to speak. And I want to ask you questions and understand where you're coming from. And to me, that says a lot about the character of Amazing Lucas and people like him, because I would have Nick Fuentes on my channel to do the same thing, not to co-sign him, not because I agree, but because freedom of speech, let the guy say what he has to say. Like, why not? Driving it underground does nothing. It doesn't rid us of the problem, which he's entitled to his opinions, right? So I love that he had him on his channel. And I didn't catch the live stream as it was happening, but I rewatched it and I was watching the chat. And I saw Anthony Brian Logan in there. I saw High Impact Flicks in there, and it was live. It was lit. It was good. But everybody is flipping out on this kid. I think he's like 21. Nick Fuentes is young, but he doesn't seem like it. This dude, okay, he's got some spicy opinions. Whatever. A lot of what he says, though, is accurate. Not all of it. I'm going to get into that because I don't endorse a lot of what he said, but some of the stuff he says is undeniably true. A lot of stuff he says, I've heard Jesse Lee Peterson say some of those exact same things. So I'm going to get into that. Please make sure you guys give this video a like. Now, where do I begin? So yeah, Amazing Lucas had Nick Fuentes on his channel, and he was just asking him questions like, what is Groyper and all that stuff, just getting to know the guy and just kind of letting him have the mic, let him have the floor and let him just talk. And ever since then, well, I guess I was kind of listening to him a little bit before that because I hadn't heard of him a few months ago, but more people were talking about him. I'm like, who is this guy? Who is he? So I started listening to him, listen to what he has to say, like I do with a lot of people, right? I don't care if they're left, right, center. I don't care. I like hearing people's ideas and then making sense of them for myself. I don't need a gatekeeper on the conservative side, just like I don't need one on the liberal side saying, don't listen to it. It's wrong. It's toxic. It's dangerous. It's neo-Nazi. Like, I don't need to hear them say that, because if what they're saying is true, I've got eyes and ears. I'll see it for myself, right? I don't need anybody to play gatekeeper and hold my hand. So anyway, I've been listening to the guy, and here's the thing. At the end of the day, what I feel like he is arguing for is his brand of statism, his brand of authoritarianism. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by it, okay? So one of the things he brought up, and I think this is probably a fair criticism of him, is when people say like, okay, you come across as racist and homophobic, okay? Well, let's start with the homophobia part, okay? They say that he's homophobic because of his views on gay marriage, okay? I'm setting the record straight for where I stand on it. What people do in the privacy of their own home is what they do. Now, I know what the Bible says. I'm aligned with what the Bible says, but I'm not God. So I'm not here to pass judgment on somebody else. I'm not here to judge them. What they do, they have to take it up with God. It's between them and God. God didn't put me here to go wag my finger in somebody else's face. With that said, also, I don't agree with the government subsidizing and incentivizing marriage, period. Gay, straight, or otherwise. Why should the government take a side and say, this marriage is okay, this isn't? The government needs to exit the business of marriage altogether. That is probably more of a libertarian stance. Just like I have a libertarian stance on weed. Weed is a plant. It grows in your backyard. You mean to tell me some politician's opinion is that I can't grow a plant, right? And they're going to send police to arrest me or whatever, or whoever, because of a plant, because of their opinion? So again, government shouldn't be involved in that too. But back to Nick. So he's saying, yeah, I don't agree with it. It's blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, what are you saying? You're saying that, and this is what's crazy is I think Amazing Lucas asked him, like, if you were president, what would your first like 300 days or 100 days in office be like or whatever? And he was like, it'd be pretty intense. It'd be crazy. That made me think in that moment, I'm like, so you're not necessarily for limited government. You just want your personal brand of it. You want the government to say, we're going to overturn gay marriage, when in reality, the government shouldn't be even involved in that. Leave it to the people and God. Now, there's obviously a slippery slope there, because once that happened, once Obama passed gay marriage, then here we are with drag queen story time, which obviously I'm 1000% against that. But just as it relates to people handling their business as a married unit, like insurance and all the stuff that comes for, again, subsidized marriage, the government shouldn't be involved in that period. Then we wouldn't have the problems of like, we have marriage inequality. Well, why is the government picking winners and losers in the first place? That's just my take on it. But it just made me think that, like, if he were president, or if he got his way, if he could wave a magic wand, that would just tread on some people and not other people, if that makes any sense, right? So that was one thing. The other thing he said was he frowns on interracial dating. He said that he doesn't agree with race mixing. Now, he's entitled to have all these opinions, by the way. I don't hate the guy. I don't dislike the guy. I agree with some of the stuff he says. I'm calling out what I don't agree with, or I'm just critiquing it based on what I heard him say on the Amazing Lucas's channel, which I think was a fair assessment of him, where it's not slandering him or throwing him under the bus. It's just letting him talk. If people agree, they agree. If they disagree, they disagree. When he said that he doesn't agree with race mixing, my response is, who cares? I mean, it seems to me like maybe you're saying it for a shock value, because for you saying, yeah, I don't agree with race mixing, and that's a popular opinion, again, so what? What are you going to do about it? You can voice your disapproval of it, but what is that going to do? Is there a van backing up? Anyway, like, if you disagree with race mixing, what's the end game? If you could wave a magic wand, would you have the government outlaw that? Because otherwise, why bring it up? Just to say, I don't like it and I'm passing judgment. I mean, okay, cool, but it's not going to do anything. It's not going to get you anywhere. So I don't understand why we even bring it up. That's why I say I think it might be a shock value thing to say it. And again, I'm glad that he's able to say it. I'm glad, because I want those opinions out in the open so that we can challenge them, so we can criticize, so we can just ask the question. Now I'm going to move over to the immigration piece, okay? Because he talked about immigration, race, demographics, all of that stuff. I'm not going to disagree with him there. Who can honestly disagree, whether you're white, black, Hispanic, or Asian, that black people commit more crime? That's not my opinion. I don't say that to down my own race. I say it because it's true. It's a fact. It's not something that somebody can sit here and deny, but we try to pretend like it's not a thing. Like, oh, let's just focus on something that feels better, because what feels bad is something that's true. So we don't want to focus on it, right? Like, you just heard the story about somebody got shot or stabbed over the Popeyes chicken sandwich. Now, do you even need to guess what race the person was? A 9-year-old girl got shot on Halloween. Do we need to guess what color the girl was? No, because we all know. So to pretend like it doesn't exist or is not there doesn't solve the problem. So with that said, yeah, he brings up race, demographics, and voting patterns and all of that stuff. I disagree with the blanket statement that all people who are brown or black or whatever, they vote Democrat. That's not true. That all people, we're not a monolith. Human beings are not monolithic, regardless of their skin color. That's almost like you're talking as if you're in the Matrix. See, I hope I can have a conversation with him one day, because I think we could probably have a productive discussion where maybe we agree to disagree, but I'm willing to bet that I could hold my own if I were debating him, because we're talking race and demographics when in reality, I disagree with a lot of the same stuff that he does as it relates to immigration and the voting and the culture. But I'm also somebody who's just as American as this dude. And while you're talking about like these demographics, they're shifting my European heritage, like your European heritage, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing anybody can do about their heritage and protecting their heritage, because people have sex. And when people have sex, kids come out. And those kids are mixed with all different races, creed, background. What are you going to do about it? Can you do anything about it? Right? You talk about the country becoming less white. Again, bringing it up is one thing. What's your solution? Is your solution, I prefer that Hispanic, non-white people vote Republican and get back to Christian conservative values? Okay, I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that 100%. But if you're saying you don't want people here simply because of what they look like, that's another problem. And if you're sounding the alarm on that, then I got to wonder what are you going to do about it? Again, if you could get every white person who you think agrees with you to wake up like, yes, blacks and browns, they're all voting for Democrats and the borders are open and they're bringing over all these. Okay, what's the solve? Are you going to ally with people like myself and other conservative minorities who agree with you on 90% of things? Or are you just going to go into the tribalistic mindset of, well, these are my people and this, that, and the third, right? Because that's not going to get you anywhere. That goes absolutely nowhere. I don't see how that's going to work. Or are you going to say that, well, what we need is legislation against black and brown people? Again, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here in this country where I was born and raised. I'm going to continue rocking the American flag. This is my country. I'm proud of this country. For all of its rights and wrongs, this is the best damn country on the planet, period. So I just don't understand that aspect of it. To talk about race and demographics and, well, if more Europeans came over, guess what? If a bunch of white people moved here from Sweden, they're probably going to vote for the left. So is it really about race and demographics? Would you rather ally with white people from Europe who are going to vote Democrat, or people regardless of color who want to preserve the national sovereignty and get back to culture? If you want to talk about subculture after the fact, that's fine. That's a different conversation than we need the country to remain white in order for it to remain American. No, we need people who think for themselves and vote based on their values, not based on some tribalistic groupthink. So that's my take on it. Is a lot of what he says, I think, is just, it's very much matrix talk, right? There are a lot of white people here who disagree with you, who disagree with your stance on immigration. They're the ones in power. They're the ones who advocate for open borders. Elizabeth Warren, the whitest of the white, wants to decriminalize border crossings. So you couldn't even get all white people here to agree with you. So I just don't understand that. And then, oh, by the way, this is probably the most important point of them all. Your enemy is not people who disagree with you or who look different from you or who sleep with whoever they want to sleep with. Your real enemy is the people pulling the strings up top, the people that are putting fluoride in our water, covering our food in glyphosate, the medical tyranny, forcing vaccinations on people. How many people have cancer right now? They're laughing at us. They're laughing at us as we fight and bicker about this and that, and we're the best. Let's own the libs, and let's, Trump's economy, look at lowest Black unemployment, Hispanic unemployment, all these like robotic talking points that you hear at every conservative Inc. event, whether it's Ben Shapiro or Charlie Kirk or whatever. They're saying the same thing over and over. They're saying the same thing over and over. But everybody's food is covered in cancer-causing agents. They don't care what color you are. They don't care about your European heritage, your African heritage, your Hispanic heritage. There's the haves and the have-nots. We are only divided by class, and that's just what it is, right? If the world were to end today, if we reached apocalypse right now, do you think it's going to be whites and blacks and Hispanics? Oh, all the white people are good. It's going to be like, no, people with money are going to be able to go in bunkers or, go up in the hills and go in their mansion and have a stockpile of food. And then everybody else will be down at the ground level fighting over finite resources. That's how it works, is there's the haves and the have-nots across every nation, across history. You think the elites at the top care about race? No, they care about people who are empowered, people who have money, people who can pull the strings to keep them comfortable where they are. That's how it works. So it just seems silly to be focused on shifting demographics, although that's important when you talk about voting. But when you talk even deeper, when you dig deeper about everything going on in the world, and again, if I'm getting any of this wrong, someone correct me right now. If I'm wrong about saying the biggest issues are the fluoride that's in our water, all of our water, the food that's covered in cancer-causing agents, the freaking glyphosate, Monsanto, right? Big tech censorship, censoring everybody, vaccinations, forced vaccinations, chemtrails, all the stuff that affects everybody, to me seems a little bit bigger than race mixing, especially when bringing up race mixing doesn't change it. All it does is just make people angry who agree with you. But it's like, are you gonna make the government outlaw interracial dating? Because if you do, then I'm going to question your stance on government. Are you really a conservative, or do you just want your own brand of tyranny? Tyranny is tyranny, period. It just is. This is why, if you had to put me in a box, I would say, yes, I'm conservative. I have conservative values. I believe in traditional family. I believe in God. I believe in limited government, personal responsibility, creating opportunities for yourself. But when it comes to certain things, yeah, I'm going to agree with libertarians. I agree with libertarians on weed, on that. That's something that grows from the ground. Again, same thing with marriage. Why does the government pick winners? Because that's always going to change, right? Because if Nick Fuentes or someone who agrees with him were in power, they would probably try to outlaw and overturn gay marriage, which would make a lot of people happy. But why is the government deciding that anyway? Unless the ultimate goal is some kind of religious theocracy. Do you agree with a religious theocracy? Do you want to be governed by a religious doctrine? Do you? I want to know, do people want that? Because if you do, then I got to question how you feel about limited government. Are you really for limited government, or do you just want the government to work for you? I'm saying I think the government should stay the hell out of everybody's business. I don't know if anybody saw the most recent, well, maybe the second to most recent Liberty Hangout video where I think they were at Ohio State or something, and they got assaulted by somebody. Somebody stole her camera or her microphone or whatever, and the cops wouldn't do anything about it. They would do nothing. The cops not doing anything is a sign that the government doesn't work to our best interest. It never has, and it probably never will. So it's like, there are some people, some conservatives, some popular ones, I'm not going to say their name, they're just hardline, everything the cops stand for. I support the police, back the blue. I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't have problems with the police department, but the police department enforces opinions of politicians, right? If somebody's getting robbed or something like that, yes, the police should go and break that up. The police should do something about it. But if somebody is jaywalking, do they really need to have a ticket because of the opinion of somebody who calls themselves a politician? That's what I mean. if you're just enforcing laws based on what someone told you to enforce, like at some point, does your morality kick in and you're like, wait a minute, I disagree with that. Even though I'm a cop, I wear the badge and all that. I disagree with some of these laws. So maybe I'll step down or I'll push back. At some point, your personal opinion or your personal values would kick in. And that's the problem, is it can go too far. Whatever laws get passed are going to be backed by the threat of force. So if you disagree with government and the laws that they pass, how can you then be like, yes, cops all the time, they're the best, they're always doing the right thing? It's like, well, libertarians look at it as the threat of force and police brutality is a problem regardless of who it's against. White, black, Asian, whoever. There's a lot of white people that get killed by the police every year. I know a lot in the black community will hate on that and say, you're just deflecting. I'm like, but the news is the one that tells you who's getting shot. Otherwise, you wouldn't know about it. They're telling you only when black people get shot. But in reality, there are a lot more white people that are getting shot by the police, getting roughed up. There's a lot of that going on, regardless of race. And I'm saying all of it's wrong. I'm not going to hyper focus and cherry pick. I'm saying it's all wrong. So I think that everything that's happening with this Nick Fuentes and the whatever they're calling them, Groypers, that's what, I don't know what that, whatever. The dissident right, that movement is not going anywhere. It needed to be brought up. It's important because, yeah, there's other stuff going on. Like, oh my God, they're trying to impeach Trump. Yeah, tell me something I don't know. They've been trying to impeach Trump since he took office. They've been trying to do it. This is just the latest scam. They're going to move on to another one and another one and another one. There's other things we need to talk about too, like the gatekeepers. This has been one of the most interesting topics recently, is the fact that you have the left and the right marching us towards tyranny. Both sides of the political aisle have sold us out. That's not up for discussion. That is not debatable. Both parties have sold this country out. Both parties have sold out everybody. And when you talk about these conservatives, a lot of them don't stand for freedom of speech. They're like, freedom of speech, unless you disagree with everything on this checklist, it's not Ben Shapiro approved, so you can't say anything. You're alt-right, you are a hater, right? You're a troll for asking questions that are outside of the designated swim lane. Get back in your swim lane or don't talk. That's what is happening with a lot of conservatives. It's not my opinion. It's on video. People are talking about it. It's not something that you can drive underground. All you're going to do if you drive it underground is radicalize it more, and it's going to grow bigger. You have to bring this stuff out into the open and talk about it, right? Talk about it. How many people who follow me are against race mixing or really think that brown and black literally equal Democrat? Has nothing to do with your brain or the fact you could have been brainwashed or misled or your history or something like that. You literally think that someone with a different skin color equals this. This is who they are. This is what they think. I know everything about them. Or they're individuals. Look no further than myself. I'm not even the 100th example of it. People like Thomas Sowell, there's so many people, Larry Elder, so many people I can't even name. Almost all the favorite YouTubers that you like to watch, whether they're Amazing Lucas or Kevin's Corner, Anthony Brian Logan, doesn't matter who it is. The people that think for themselves, see themselves as Americans, aren't going to be caught up in tribalistic groupthink, that primitive dogma that we're supposed to be able to rise above because we're intellects. We have brains for a reason, so we can use them and discern what's right and wrong, what makes sense for us, what doesn't make sense, what fits, what doesn't fit. That's what we could be focused on. And oh, by the way, the real enemy, like I said in the beginning of this stream, are the people in power. It's the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world, who, by the way, didn't kill themselves. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, but he got away with something. Hillary Clinton still walks the streets. Still. Harvey Weinstein still walking the streets. Jussie Smollett still walking the streets. Why? Because they have money. There's the elite class, and then there's everybody else. It doesn't matter if you have European heritage and you believe in traditional Christian family values, or if you're a leftist protester in the streets, when you go home, there's fluoride coming out of your faucet, there's glyphosate on your foods, and they're forcing vaccinations on everybody because the plan is to depopulate, right? I know some people are probably like, oh my God, this guy just put on his tinfoil freaking hat. He's the Black Alex Jones. Okay, Alex Jones has said so much that has become true that they had to admit. They finally had to admit, yeah, the Bohemian Grove, that's real. Oh yeah, the Bilderberg meeting, yeah, that's happening every year. Fluoride in the water, they said, how many years did the American Dental Association say fluoride's good for you? Now they're like, actually, just kidding, it's bad, it causes cancer, oops. Or Roundup on our food, oh, it's not bad, it's not linked to cancer, except that it is. There's a story out right now, go find it, Buffalo Wild Wings in Boston. The manager of a Buffalo Wild Wings just died because of the cleaning solution that they used to clean the floor. And I think 10 other people got sent to the hospital because of chemicals that they used to clean the floor. That's what I'm saying, man. At the end of the day, the only thing that you're guaranteed to happen, no matter what you believe, is you're going to pay taxes and die. And you can't control others, no matter how much you try, no matter how much you want to, unless your plan is to take control of the government and force people to do what you want them to do. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. It's not my opinion. It just is what it is. You can't control people. Stop trying to control people. It's never going to happen. It's never going to work. Yes, you're allowed to voice your opinion. That's cool. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to enforce your opinion, or do you just want people to know, I don't agree with this, I don't like it? Well, what are you going to do about it? Your best bet is to maybe level up, talk to people who agree with you instead of looking at it so shallow, like, well, they're black or whatever, you know. And I'm not saying that this is what he believes, I believe he even said, like, he doesn't look at people as inferior. He's just calling out, he's saying stuff that's true, which at the end of the day, a lot of people, I don't know how you can deny what he's saying. Hold on, I got a little pop up here on my screen. Hope it's not the government trying to shut me down, y'all. Alex Nificent. Ah, man. You know, I just had to say that, guys. And I think Amazing Lucas did a great job having him on because I wanted to hear his opinion. A lot of what they tell you you shouldn't listen to should make you want to listen to it. They did the same thing with Trump. They did the same thing. They said, Donald Trump is this, that, and the third. He says this, he hates women and minorities, he's racist, he's literally Hitler and Stalin and Mussolini combined, all wrapped up into one. I'm like, let me go to his rally and hear from him myself. Fast forward 2 years, here I am. They do the same thing with Turning Point. The left does this, right? They say, don't listen to Turning Point, don't listen to Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is one of the bad people from Germany. Don't listen to him, even though he's a Jew. Like, then I go hear Ben Shapiro and I'm like, but he's not that. And you lied to me. You were trying to control me this whole time. You were trying to keep me from hearing what somebody had to say that I agree with 90% of things they say. So now I'm pissed at you because you were playing gatekeeper. You were trying to control me. And now you have the exact same thing happening on the conservative side. They're like, we don't like these people. We don't associate with them. We won't take pictures with them. They're trolls. They're alt-right. They're all these things. Slanderous language used to try to silence people, try to drive it underground and avoid conversation. You're doing the exact same thing as the left is doing. So therefore, it's not left or right. I just see it as you're playing gatekeeper. It doesn't matter which brand of gatekeeper it is. You're playing gatekeeper. Now I'm going to get off my high horse, guys. I just had to say that. I wanted to get that out there and share my thoughts on this whole thing because, and I know some people are like, Mike, you should stop talking about it. You're making things worse. I'm like, okay, well, you tell me why more and more people are talking about it every day then, if it's just me. And we're not going to pretend like it's not a thing. I don't like being fake. I don't like pretending like something isn't there when it's right there in your face. Right? There's been a lot of people who have given some really based analysis on the whole situation. I like what the Red Elephants has to say, which if you guys can get this video in front of him. Share this with Vincent James of the Red Elephants, because I liked his channel. I've been subscribed to him for a couple of years. I think he and I can have a pretty base conversation. We can have agreements and disagreements, but I want to understand his perspective, because he talks about race and demographics all the time, Any chance he gets to bring up, well, actually, here are some statistics from blah, 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 and blacks do this and this and this and this. I'm like, okay, I agree with you there. Yeah, that's true. But where do we go from here? What do we do? I want to know what these people actually think. What do they want to, if you could wave a magic wand, what would happen? Would the minorities here vote the way you think they should vote, which is Republican or conservative? Or do you not want them here at all? Because those are two very different outcomes, and they would take two very different paths to get there. One of which I vehemently disagree with, obviously. So that's it. Somebody said Shapiro has controlled opposition. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. I myself did not realize that when I first started listening to different conservatives. First of all, I've always been conservative, but I didn't know that I was conservative. I didn't call it conservative. It's just the way that I was raised. It's the way that I view the world. It's the way I choose to live my life. And I'm like, oh, this is what conservatives believe. Once I started listening to them, I'm like, so I've been conservative this whole time. Cool, great. But the more I started to listen to some of them, the more I started to say, well, wait a minute, I don't agree with all of that. That doesn't seem very conservative to me. Like, so you're going to pick and choose the freedom of speech and defending the First Amendment. Like when Alex Jones and Laura Loomer and Milo Yiannopoulos, all these people got banned, that's finally when Ben Shapiro's like, okay, this is wrong. But Alex Jones was already banned before that. And then Ben Shapiro put out a list of all the people that he says are alt-right. And Donald Trump was on that list. And so was Alex Jones. So I'm like, okay, you're lying. You're literally just trying to stand next to the left. You want to be adjacent to the left. You're like, I'm going to disassociate with these more further right people than myself because you want to be adjacent to the left. You're controlled opposition and you're pushing for all these wars. You're always talking about how Trump has got it wrong on foreign policy and we need to stay in Syria and we need to bomb Iran and all this garbage. I'm like, that doesn't sound conservative to me. But I just don't get how a lot of people are not seeing it. A lot of people came after me when I made a video and they're like, you're just jealous and bitter and butthurt. I'm like, okay, you've never met me. So, because I'm not. I'm literally not. I'm just calling it like I see it. And oh, by the way, I'm not the first to do it. I just think it's interesting that even more and more and more people, like, I don't know if you heard Paul Joseph Watson go in on this. Mark Dice said something about it. So many people are seeing it now. Oh boy, here we go. I'm trying to read some of these comments because I know you guys are going in over there. And if you downvoted, I know there's always some people who come in and just downvote, but don't leave a comment. Don't be lazy. Don't you be lazy. If you're going to downvote, leave a comment. Debate me. Come on my channel. Somebody's been leaving comments. You guys know I've been uploading videos of this debate that I did like 3 weeks ago before I found out about my dog situation that kind of delayed me releasing it. But I figured, let me go ahead and release it this week. And I don't remember who it was. She came in, it's like, with all due respect, you shouldn't be debating someone from across the pond over in the UK. Some people are like, what does the UK have anything to do with this? Let me tell you how this interview debate came about. Somebody named Sean, who's a fan of my page, a fan of my channel, he's been following me. He reached out to me on Twitter and said, hey, do you want to debate somebody? I'm a moderator. I host debates on my channel. Do you want to debate a leftist or a conservative or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I'll debate whoever. And at first I was going to debate a leftist, but then I'm like, we might just go in circles because we'll be so opposed to each other that we won't find any common ground. It feels pointless. I'm like, I'll debate a conservative if there's something to debate. If nothing else, I'll learn something. I had no idea who he was going to find. He found somebody from the UK. I don't have a problem with it. I don't care. I wasn't going to turn down an opportunity to reach another audience, to sharpen my skills, sharpen my debate skills, defend my positions, and maybe learn something. So that's why I did it. Not that I owe anybody an explanation. That's why I did it. That's why I didn't pick the guy. I mean, I think it was a pretty productive conversation. It was like 2 hours long, but I don't think I'm going to release every clip of it because it would take too much time to edit and splice it all up. But damn, man, like some people you can't make everybody happy. You can't. And you'll go crazy trying to. It's kind of pointless at the end of the day. So those are my thoughts, guys. I'm going to keep this short. I appreciate everybody watching today on this Friday. I'll get to some more topics soon. I mean, as the world keeps spinning, we're just going to continue to get more shenanigans. Again, to wrap up, it does not matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what skin color you are. It does not matter who you are, because all the elites who are black, white, Asian, and immigrant people who move here with money, they're good. They're living in gated communities, sending their kids to private schools. They got armed security. They're driving cars in trucks and flying in private jets and doing all the things they're telling us not to do. And all of them are lobbying for tyranny. They're supporting communist China. They want open borders. They're the ones who are your enemy, Mr. Nick Fuentes. They're the ones who are arguing for open borders. And there's people that are going to be here like myself who were born and raised in this country, who are not going anywhere, who you might benefit from allying with, as opposed to trying to make blanket statements about blacks this, blacks that, right? Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, figure out why there's fluoride in your water and why there's glyphosate all over your food, antibiotics. Figure out why there's chemicals in everything you eat, and figure out why they're trying to incentivize vaccines. Talking about you can get a $20 gift card if you just get the flu shot. Why do you want me to have the flu shot so bad? Why are there videos of people faking flu shots? Let's get there. Let's figure out why there's so much pedophilia happening in the shadows, unchecked. Nobody's arrested. The one guy that they did arrest committed suicide on suicide watch. So there's that. But yeah, let's talk about interracial dating and all that stuff instead. Okay. When there's actual pedophilia going on. What's more evil if you're a Christian, if you're a believer in God, even if you're just a moral person? You don't even have to be religious to know that pedophilia is the most evil thing on the planet. What happens to children is the worst, most evil thing on the planet. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. What's more evil than harming a child? What is? I'll leave you guys with that. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on social media accounts. It's rough out here. YouTube is doing everything they can to suppress this channel. They are choking the life out of it, but the life is still in it. Just keep on supporting. God bless you guys. I'll catch you in the next stream.